So the title of today's talk is, Can You Imagine That? And I want to start by sharing, and this is a true story. This is about my sister, who is a little bit taller than me, and I would say has dark hair like me, but really now I have dark hair like her. But we look a lot alike. And this was in 1987. You know, think back, when I think of the 1980s, I always think of the big bangs and the funky clothes that we wore. But, and I haven't seen these in a long time, but there used to be coupons that we would use to buy a product, and you would fill your information out on those coupons to be in a contest. And so my sister used one of these coupons and forgot about it. And months later, she gets a phone call from this company telling her that she had won the grand prize. Now, I want to tell you how this came about. So, you know, they gather all these coupons. They ended up with 100 boxes of these coupons. And so even if you think of a 12 by 12 box, and you think of a coupon that's maybe 4 or 5 inches long, about 3 inches wide, that's a lot of coupons. And imagine 100 boxes of these coupons. So they start with one box. They had 100 prizes. They start with one box. They pick out that. They get to the 100th box and pull my sister's coupon out of that. And she's the grand prize winner. And she won $50,000. Can you imagine that? In 1987. And it's funny because when I said, can you imagine that? We go. And I just want to tell you, you just did. You totally imagined. You probably saw the big bangs in the 80s and the coupon and the boxes, but it's a true story. She really did win $50,000 in that. So today, obviously, we're talking about the power of our imagination. Robert Conklin said, "What is your dream today? Is it vast enough, bold enough to hold your soul? Oh, I must have forgotten to tell you. Dreams are the container of the soul. That is, they are the holding place of God. So dream big, yes, because the bigger you dream, the more of God you let in." I love that. I think that is so beautiful. Walt Disney, who we know is an amazing Imagineer, said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." Albert Einstein said, "Your imagination is your preview of life's coming attraction." I love that one. Napoleon Hill, author, said, "The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man." And, you know, we have to recognize that everything that was first created, it was a thought, and that thought became an idea. And so what is an idea? I think I might have missed one. Let me go back and do this. Charles Fillmore, because we're going to bring a lot of Charles in, said that everything that is manifest was first a mental picture and was brought into expression by the forming power of the imagination. And so it has become an idea. And what is an idea? He says an idea is a conception existing in mind as a result of mental understanding. It's a conception. It's not manifest. It's not even real in the sense of what's happening in my body, in the world. It's an idea, it's a concept, it's pretend. But that's what Jesus was talking about when he said, "Whatsoever you believe in your heart and do not doubt, believing that you receive it, you will have it." He's saying, you got to get into that workshop of your imagination, and you've got to start working with your thoughts and creating a deep belief that ultimately, when it becomes a deep belief, you start to feel it, and then things start to happen in our lives differently from what they had been in the past. And it's totally an incredibly powerful thing. You know, when you think about it, imagine a key to everything. Who would have imagined these little tiny phones that we can literally call across the world, or computers with Skype, where, you know, my son can be in Japan and I can be here and we can see each other? Well, someone did. And I always love, who would have imagined to put wheels on the luggage? Someone did. Who would have imagined paying your bills without putting it in an envelope and putting a stamp on it or taking it somewhere? And, clearly someone did. Who would have imagined that the world was round? Someone did. Someone had the idea, and it came, and they became a reality. So recognize that truly everything that has been created by mankind, skyscrapers, skis, cars, computers, buildings, boulevards, coffee cups, cotton balls, lattes. I had to throw that one in because I'm so happy somebody thought of that. And even things immaterial, such as concepts and philosophies. They all began with a thought. The thought became an idea in the imagination. They all started there. The thought and the imagination. And if you didn't get to be here for last week's talk, I encourage you to go online and to listen to it, because it really is, this is a 5-part series on the book, What If It All Goes Right by Mindy Odland. And some of the stuff that I shared by Charles Fillmore really is relevant to what we're talking about today. So, indeed, God, wouldn't we agree, God is the ultimate creator, ultimate creator. And we have come forth from this allness, and we have been created in its image and likeness. And we have been blessed with what? A thinking mind. We have been blessed with an imagination. And in that, we are incredibly creative. And this whole series is about shifting our imagination from what if it all goes wrong, what if this never happens, to shifting what if upping to what if it all goes right, what if. And I'm going to tell you something here on this whole what if thing, because Mindy says pretty early on, it can sound very Pollyannish. And the reality is, when we're what if downing, we are literally bringing our energy and we're closing it in, because we're not seeing any possibilities. We're feeling it in our body. We're actually closing it in. But when we start to what if up, we are opening our energy, and even our body starts to open up, and that is where the miracles occur, right there in that realm. And bottom line, what if upping will make you feel a lot better than what if downing will. So I want to share with you from Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, and this is in the book Dynamics for Living, because I think it's important that we talk about the 3 phases of mind. There's the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. So Charles Fillmore says about the superconscious mind, it is man's only sure guide through the maze of the creative process. By trusting the infallibility of this guide, man opens himself to the inspiration of the Almighty. It is the perfect mind. This is God mind. The superconscious is God mind. It is the realm of pure potential. It is the realm of power. It is the realm of possibility. It is what we live and move and have our being in, and what lives and moves and has its being in us. We are one as it. To language this is so hard, because we are not one in it, we are one as it. And so superconscious is God mind. Now the conscious mind is our thinking mind. Charles says it is the mind through which man establishes his identity. The conscious mind should look ever to the superconscious for all direction and instruction. The spirit of wisdom and understanding rests in the superconscious, okay? And then we have the subconscious mind. And Charles says the subconscious mind is the sum of all of man's past thinking, of all of our past thinking, our programming, what we have been living out of. This is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has no power to do original thinking. It acts upon what it is given through the conscious or the superconscious mind. Okay, so we have these 3 levels of mind. He goes on to say that all our involuntary or automatic, I'm going to say programmed activities, are of the subconscious. They are the result of having trained ourselves by the conscious mind to form certain habits and to do certain things without having to center our thought upon them consciously. And this is the programming and beliefs that we have taken to be true throughout our lives. So essentially the subconscious mind acts upon what we give it. And when he said that it forms certain habits and do certain things without having to center our thought upon them consciously, That can be a good thing and that can be a not so good thing. And if we're having the same experience over and over again, just in a different, it's a different relationship, it's a different person but same relationship, it's a different job but the same experience, we're having those over and over again, it's because this subconscious mind hasn't gotten anything new. It only knows what it knows. And so that's why it's so important for us to wake up and become aware. Awareness is a huge word here of what it is that we're allowing to go into our subconscious mind, and we can retrain our subconscious mind. Isn't that great? We can retrain it. And I love what he says here. He says, the subconscious mind, its true office is to receive impressions from the superconsciousness and to reproduce them upon the canvas of the conscious mind. He said, man, however, having lost the consciousness of the indwelling Father as an ever-present reality, has reversed the process, and impresses the subconscious from the conscious mind. It is the purpose and nature of the subconscious mind to reproduce. So I found this picture just to show the aspects of the mind. I know there's something I can do too. I just don't remember. So we have the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. And we have fallen away in so many ways from allowing the superconscious mind to fill our thinking mind and our subconscious mind. And so because and not purposefully, we haven't turned away from that purposefully, we just didn't know better. But so then we become the thinking mind, and now because we have all these programs and things, we need to work with both the superconscious and the conscious mind in order to transform the subconscious mind. Does that make sense? And we want to make sure, here's the thing about this, is that it's so clear to me that whenever we're using a tool like what if upping, the very first thing that would be good to do would be to go into the silence and feel yourself just living in that superconscious realm. And a big part of the practice is that we ultimately get to the place where our mind isn't going to be the monkey mind. And we're just going to be in this realm where the superconscious mind can impress upon our thinking mind these potentialities and possibilities. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that before. And then we start thinking about that. We're retraining our subconscious mind and we're having a totally different experience. It's real. And it's absolutely true, 100%. So when we look at the great teacher, when we look at Jesus, what we can see is that he allowed his conscious mind and his subconscious mind to be impressed upon, obviously, by the superconscious mind. And so what we would see with Jesus is that he could come up to somebody and his physical eyes would see that they may have a condition that seems impossible. And yet, because he was in such alignment with the superconscious mind, he was able to look past what was happening in there physically and know the greater reality of truth for them. And the interesting thing is that he was able to stay in such a high state of vibration that his energy somehow was able to transform the molecules and the cells and the atoms of the person standing before him. Isn't that great? That's amazing, isn't it? And you know what he said? These things and more you can do also. What I have done, you can do. And you know what? I haven't even been able to show you the realm of what you can do. We have such power in our lives. And this whole thing of the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind, it is, I think, the key to transforming our lives. And it all starts with God. It all starts with remembering what we live and move and have our being in. Now we're going to have a mini session on quantum thinking, the science of focusing. And Charles Fillmore, he was quite the science-oriented man, and he already had a pretty good handle on quantum physics, and he would be so excited today to see all that has been being revealed about quantum thinking. So, when we look at our life through a scientific lens, what we see is that in a material sense, our body is a highly functioning community of about 60 trillion cells. And if we look closer at those cells, we see that they are actually made up of atoms. And then when we look at those atoms closely, we see that there are subatomic particles, and those subatomic particles can express in one of two ways. A wave is one, and that's pure potentiality, and a particle, and that's material. The fascinating thing that has been learned through quantum science, quantum physics, and I love this stuff because it's really supporting what we already know to be true, but it gives us even more, I think, motivation, because we're seeing the reality of this. So the fascinating thing we have learned through quantum physics is that the determining factor between a wave and a particle is focus. Whether it's a wave or whether it's a particle, it's focus. And we are all players on this quantum field of life. And it's so important, again, for us to really get clear on what is my focus. And my focus is what? It's what I believe. And I might need to change my focus. And so we're going to do that through the power of our imagination. And she goes on to say that the subatomic substance of the universe is responding to our focus and the intensity of our dominant feelings. Now, we're going to talk more about feelings next week. You might call it your vibration, you might call it your consciousness. But here's what she says, that the power of positive thinking is nothing compared to the power of positive feeling. So sometimes when we wonder, well, gosh, why am I still having the same experience and I'm doing all this work? We have to feel, we have to get to the place where we can feel it and believe it for ourselves. And you know what that takes? Practice, practice, practice. It took a long time for us to get where we are today, and we didn't practice it consciously, but we practiced unconsciously, taking on all these beliefs about the world and ourselves is true. And so we've got to practice, practice, practice to get this to start turning in this direction. Now, how I see that showing up with Jesus is that he didn't have to think. He just had such an awareness of the superconscious mind that he knew he could look beyond, and he just knew that their wholeness, or whatever it is that he was focusing on. And have you ever had those times in your life where you just knew? You just knew that this is the right thing for me to do. You just knew that the house you just walked into, that's my house. Or that you just knew for someone else what was going to happen? And did you feel that knowing? Absolutely. You felt that knowing at a very, very, very deep level. Mindy says in her book, human beings have the ability and the challenge to be aware of our thoughts. These thoughts produce a physiological response in the body that can immediately redirect our dominant feelings. Immediately redirect our dominant feelings. The easiest way to shift our dominant feelings is with a thought. Is with a thought. That then, as Charles Fillmore said, and we clothe this thought, and then it becomes an idea, and then ultimately becomes a manifestation of some sort in our life experience. Okay, so she gives us some steps on how to progress with this. Now, I want to share with you an opportunity that all of us have as a spiritual community and as a spiritual family. Mary Koppler was diagnosed with breast cancer. How many years ago was that? 5 years ago. Had a double mastectomy, went through all the chemo, everything, and came out cancer-free. So happy. And recently, Mary found out that the cancer has come back in various parts of her body, and it's stage 4 cancer. So take the hit, because it's important to recognize and accept where we are right now. Okay? But what I'm going to ask us to do as a spiritual community is to what if up. Mary, to not let ourselves go to seeing Mary with cancer, but to go to Mary and the what if upping. Let us be that Christ light that knows so fully for her that literally we have an effect on the molecules and cells and atoms, the subatomic particles of her body. Because we can. And so the first step, if you're experiencing a challenge or a problem that you would like to rise above, begin by identifying your current reality. Now, it may be, I'm just going to keep this focused on Mary for now. So the current reality is that she has stage 4 cancer in her body. And getting clear on the reality is a really good starting point, because we need to know where we're at. We can't just put our heads in the sand. That's not what we're about. You know, I promise you, Mary is fully aware and taking the action that she knows is hers to take. And that's so important for us to do. But then we go to step 2, and we notice how we mentally approach the idea or challenge. What are the first thoughts that come to mind when you think about your challenge or idea? Do you what if down, considering the worst case scenarios? What if it fails? What if it's too hard? What if it doesn't work? You know, what if Mary doesn't get better? Do we what if down? And I want to say here that sometimes we might have to go to what is the worst case scenario. And a lot of time, for me, I know that when I am really scared about something and anxious, I let myself finally go down that road of what is the worst case scenario. And so I know Mary's already gone down that road. You know, what if this doesn't work? What if this cancer becomes more in my body? What is the worst case scenario? It's my time. And Mary has already moved into acceptance of, well, I don't know if you've been able to move into acceptance of that, but the idea, I'm sure, has, you know, she's been able to look at that. Now, what this does is it takes the power, the energy, out of that whole what if downing, because we're finally like, okay, I know the worst case scenario, there it is. And even though on a human level we don't want that to happen, we know that we are beyond this physical body, okay? Now, the other thing that we can do is we can what if up the worst case scenario. What if I don't die? What if I live on to be 100 years old and I'm healthy? What if? And we're going to do more of this what if upping in a second. So what we want to look at is when we look at how we mentally approach the idea or the challenge, am I what if downing or am I what if upping? What if upping is seeking possibilities and taking inspired action. What if upping is what if with a positive attitude. And step 3 is what if up. And we're going to be what if upping throughout this entire series because that's what it's about. And so challenge yourself to mentally expand possibilities beyond what you might believe to be possible. Rev up your imagination and let it run wild and free. And so as we, as a spiritual family, gather around Mary in our consciousness, what I want to encourage us to do is to rev it up, is to open ourselves up to possibilities. Because you know what, Mary? I know of many people who've actually been in the hospital and people thought this was it, they're dying, and whoosh, they come back. I know of many people, too, that have had stage 4 cancer and have gotten better. And so we know that the possibility is there. But what we can do when we think of Mary now, and I hope that we do, I hope that you will gather around Mary in this sense, is we can what if up. What if, as she moves into this next phase of what is hers to do, what if she actually feels good as she goes through this chemotherapy? What if, when she goes back in 2 months, what if the doctor is so amazed, because you know they're wanting to shrink these. But what if, when she goes back, the doctor says, I can't believe it. They're gone. There's no sign of it. They're just gone. What if Mary and Dwayne come out of that and they are just like, yes. And what if Mary has a healthy, full life, for another however many years. What if? Now, what if makes you feel better? This is the what if that makes us feel better. And when we're feeling better and we're focusing on Mary, we're helping to raise the vibration in her. And this is powerful. And this is our opportunity right now as a spiritual community to gather together in support with Mary and to what if up. And so in your own life, where can you begin what if upping? You know, we look at something and our tendency is to what if down, but then we turn and we say, well, what if this is easy? What if I really let myself have fun? What if an idea comes that really changes my life? What if I have a major breakthrough on this issue? What if this relationship ended, I was going to be okay? What if I actually became stronger because of it? What if, because this relationship ended, I'm finding more of my authentic identity? Again, recognize that what if upping is always going to make you feel better than what if downing will. I love Zig Ziglar, who is a motivational speaker, and he said, I loved it, he said, positive thinking won't make anything that you want happen to happen, but positive thinking will make everything better than negative thinking will, everything. Positive what if upping will make you feel better than what if downing, 100%. And what we know when we're in this what if upping, we are literally, like we're letting down the structures of knowing. And we're literally creating opportunities for a superconscious mind to do what it will do in us, as us, and through us. And the same imagination that can see all that could go wrong can also see all that could go right. And so this week, I want to encourage you, please, 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 don't leave this here in this room. Please take this into your life. Take this into your daily experience. Take the time to look at an area in your life that you are ready for something different. Take the time to look at that. If you need to look at the worst case scenario, do that. We aren't going to live there. That's a thing. And then begin to what if up it. You know, get into that workshop of your imagination. And if you're having a hard time with that, go to somebody else who can help you, because, you know, we can see a lot more possibilities for someone else than they maybe can see for themselves. And that's the benefit of the small groups that we have right now. But go to someone who can help you with that. And even if it's coming and talking to me, I'm happy to do that with you. So this week, my friends, is all about pretending, about being Imagineers, and about what if upping Mary. Let's gather together collectively and what if up this energy, and powerful, amazing things are going to happen, and they will. Namaste.